Ohioans to dig deeper into some of the most pressing challenges of our time, and the governor laid those out very well. You know, the recent incidences in Ferguson and New York City and Cleveland have highlighted the fractured relationships between the people and their protectors. But we can achieve progress, but it is certainly the responsibility of each and every one of us. And so I thank the governor so much for being a partner with us in creating the Ohio Task Force on Community and Police Relations. This is a first step to us building that deep understanding that we all need, and to take action steps from that understanding that we gather to solve problems. And as important as it is to understand the what and the why, we cannot and we must not fail to act, because the courage to act is the most important courage that we can have. We must also create the will and the conditions for some real progress. And I want to quote President John F. Kennedy here when he said that there are risks and costs to action, but there are far less than the long-range risk of comfortable inaction. And I am really glad to be partnered here to take some real action. The purpose of this task force isn't to place blame on either the police or communities of color or anybody else for that matter. We want to have an honest discussion about what is and about how we can change, how we can make a difference, how all of us can put a little extra on our ordinary so that extraordinary things can happen for this state and for this nation. As the governor laid out, my son is a police officer. He is African American. My husband was a former police officer. So I do see this issue from all angles and understand that police and communities are partners and we need one another, and we have to continue to put forward that message. I want to thank my colleagues in the legislatures, my sisters in the struggle, as I call them, State Representative Sandra Williams, Senator-elect Williams, I should say, and President Alicia Reece for all of their work and us coming together to do this today, and the governor and the Attorney General for the efforts that we're going to make in our partnership. I also want to extend a special thanks to Dr. Ronnie Dunn of the Cleveland State University and James Hardiman for the ACLU. You know, Representative Williams and I have been working on this for quite a long time. And sometimes, you know, an idea, timing is everything, and the idea has come. We have to take our frustrations and make some good happen. And I know that we can do that. Justice cannot be for one side alone. It must be for both sides. And that was First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt who said that. I know that we can do this. If we have the courage and the will, we certainly can find a way. And this is the first step towards this. And so thank you very much, Governor.
Senator.
Thank you, Governor. As Senator Turner said, 2 years ago, we started working on racial profiling legislation and other legislation dealing with race relations in the state. We met with the governor a few times, and he was very receptive. But I want to thank the governor today for working so fast. I mean, we sat with him yesterday in about 5 minutes. He said, let's do this because it's the right thing to do. So I want to thank you, Governor, for being proactive in this particular issue. As you all know, a pattern of questionable force used on the citizens by law enforcement has become discouragingly familiar in our communities. We have Tamir Rice, who was in my community, who was shot by a police officer within seconds of the police pulling up. 4 months ago, we had 22-year-old John Crawford, who was shot while holding a weapon in the Walmart store. We have a little-known person named Raphael Thomas, who was waiting on someone to come and pick him up after his car broke down, and he was shot by police officers. And for many people in the African-American community, this has just become too much. We faced these issues in the 1940s, in the 1950s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and now we're in 2014, and we're still addressing the same issue. And it has to stop. If we want to make sure that people feel like they're welcome in this state, that they're equal citizens just like everybody else, we have to address the concerns. And I know the governor is going to address other concerns dealing with our communities, dealing with equality and everything else pretty soon. But I am glad that we are now at the table and we will be traveling the state addressing the major concern that we have right now, and that is unrest in our communities. So, thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you. I would like to join my colleagues. First of all, I want to thank Senator Turner and Senator-elect Williams, who did not hesitate but moved very swiftly and quickly after the shooting of the 12-year-old Tamir Rice. And I want to thank them. As the president of the Ohio Legislative Black Caucus, this is a top priority. And I want to thank the governor, not just for his action today, but when we had the incident in Beaver Creek, John Crawford, who lives in the suburbs of Cincinnati. The governor called me, we talked immediately, and to have that type of access, I think is tremendous. His conversation was, what can we do? His conversation was, we need to work together and get something done, and something has to change. I want to also thank the Attorney General, because he and I talked on the phone, so the accessibility and the communication, I just want to thank them for that. Today is, I think, a historic day because I believe this is one of the first task force of its kind dealing with police community relations on a statewide level. And as someone, I've been very involved in terms of out in the peaceful protest in Cincinnati. Cincinnatians who went down to Ferguson, I've been in contact with them. I'm a national board member of the National Action Network and just was on a call with Reverend Sharpton moments before we came in to tell him what we are doing here in Ohio. And so today the message is that the governor and the state of Ohio hears the cries of those who have been out in the movement. The young people, black, white, Hispanics have all been together in peaceful protests here in Ohio. And today, with the forming of this task force, we say, we hear your cries and we will take action under the leadership of our governor. We are one of the few states that have not waited till things have exploded before taking action. We're moving in a proactive approach. Unfortunately, but I guess fortunately, I've had the experience of going through something similar at the local level. The city of Cincinnati in 2001, we had strained, divided, and polarized relations between the community and the police. People took to the streets. The city had unrest, and we were able to go in. We had the largest racial profiling lawsuit at that time in the history of the United States. We went in, I was the vice mayor at that time, and was a part of a team that included the FOP, that included the activists, that included progressive, that included the federal government. And we went into the federal court and we came out with a historic agreement, a collaborative agreement that has been a model for police community relations in this country. We will be able to utilize that platform as we try to mirror something like that throughout the state of Ohio. We must restore confidence in the justice system. Too many of our citizens, not only here in Ohio, but around this country, have lost or is losing faith in the system. And so today's step with an action-oriented task force led by our governor will allow us to not only hear the voices, not only do a listening tour, not only bring all of the stakeholders to the table, but will hopefully produce a corrective action plan that will restore faith and restore confidence and build relationships to bring our state together to be a leader and a model that other states can follow.